So let me break down the origins of the merchant service business, guys. The standard in the industry is for you to charge the customer. So what you're going to do is literally take that fee that the merchant is getting charged, which is typically about 3%, and you're going to pass it on to the customer. That's it. All right, guys. What's going on? Again, I'm here, CEO of Merchant Automation. Hey, guys, welcome to another weekly live training. In case you guys didn't know, these are absolutely live. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time in Miami, Florida, and we do this every single week to provide you with the lessons you need to start your cashless ATM business. That is your merchant services business, guys. All right. So on today's live, it's going to be extra special. I'm going to have an important announcement at the end of the live, guys. So if you have friends, family, anybody that was interested in just starting a business and entrepreneurship, I'm going to go over the basics. So I need you to comment their name below. And here's the reason why. In the military, like I'm back in the Marine Corps, they used to say, don't be a blue falcon. Don't leave your buddy behind. Because at the end of the day, there's enough out there for everybody. And I'm practicing my Spanish, so todos comemos. We all eat, everybody. Because think about it, guys. Think about if you just capture just 1% of the business in the entire United States, 1%, 0.01%, you would have at least $50 million minimum. And that's 0.01% of the business, guys. So think about that. There's no competition, guys. We're all fighting for the abundant business out there, guys. Right? Now, with that being said, if you're in Canada right now, I need you to comment Canada below. Here's the reason why. So one of our announcements is we will be expanding very soon. So right now we're focusing on the actual United States. However, if you guys know, at our traditional ATM company, we did expand to Canada. We're going to be bringing that to cashless ATM soon, guys. So if you could see yourself expanding to Canada, like you're like, hey, I want to be a multi-country entrepreneur, comment Canada below. Or if you're just in Canada and you love the Maple Leafs, hey, that's all good too, guys, right? Because today it's going to be an extra special live. So let me go into our overview of exactly how we're going to do our thing today, guys. Let me share my screen. Make sure you guys can see this. All right, guys. So we get a question all the time. They're like, hey, who the heck is merchant automation? So I want to break that down. So we actually started back in February of 2023, guys. February 2023. Time goes by very fast. It's going to be a year. Before that, we launched a company called ATM Together in 2021. So been in the business for a little while. Let's just put it that way. Since then, with just merchant automation alone, we've been able to help over 400 people change their lives starting their cashless ATM business. We've helped over 1,000 locations within our portfolio and our associated ISOs. In addition to that, within our team alone, we have over 15 years of experience. So next question I always get, it's like, get them, who are you? So quick overview of myself. I was actually in the Marine Corps. Shout out to all my military veterans over there, comment veteran, because we always take care of our veterans. Got into law enforcement in a little city called Oakland, California. So if you know Oakland, you're probably laughing right now. Like, that's not a little city. It's not a safe city. Got out of law enforcement, decided, you know what? This isn't that fun anymore. So actually had some business investments that kicked off and helped run ATM Together, co-founded Merchant Automation, guys. And the reason I bring this up is not to toot my own horn, but to show that, you know, if an average Joe, literally it goes straight to the military at the age 18, gets into law enforcement out of necessity, can actually get into business, you have no excuse and you can totally do it too, guys, right? So let's get into our lessons that we're going to have for today, guys. So a few different things. So the first thing we're going to actually cover is step-by-step business formation basics. And here's the reason why. Ultimately, when it comes down to business, you have to have the foundation before you can expand. Right after that, it's going to be a really good lesson. I'm actually going to go over highly profitable locations that absolutely no one talked about. I was actually in shock when I was talking to some people and they're like, I didn't even think about that. What do you mean? So we're going to go over some really good locations for you. And after that, I'm going to finish off strong. We're going to go over how you can start your business within 30 days, guys. And like I mentioned before, guys, I'm going to have a special announcement at the end. It's actually pretty important. So make sure you tune in. This is going to be actually a very short live. I'm going to keep it to about like 30 minutes because it's going to be very jam-packed, guys. Right? So with that being said, you guys are excited. First lesson of the formation basics, guys. I want you to actually comment basics below. Here's the reason why, guys. So when it comes down to business, I get this all the time. How many of you guys have that friend or that family member that they just have all these ideas. They're like, Jessica, Chris, get them. Man, I'm telling you, you should get into this. You should get into that. You should get into this. And they're always changing their mind. At the end of the day, you have that person in your life, and you're just like, you don't really take them seriously. What typically happens is this. People love ideas, but they don't take action. And I'm sure the common factor with that friend, guys, is going to be what? They don't take action. When you really ask them about, like, hey, how are you going to start that business? They don't know. It's just this distant idea. They say, well, yeah, I'm just going to research. And it's always research, research, research. And here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to give you a simple startup method to start your business. Now, it's going to be very quick. So if you want our PDF guide, because we have an absolutely free PDF guide, and the reason why is because we've noticed, like even for myself, I like to read versus listen to things. So if you want a copy of that, make sure you comment PDF below. Comment PDF, because one of our team members will see that comment. More than likely to be right after this live, and they'll send you a message after the live, guys, because I want you guys actually stay engaged on here, right? So when it comes down to forming your business, guys, the number one thing you want to remember, the number one thing, guys, is keep it simple. I cannot tell you how many times I got that friend, I got that family member, and they're just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this and that and this. I'm like, okay. And I asked that same question, like I mentioned, and they have no idea. I'm like, well, why don't you just take a step back? You want to crawl, walk, then run. So the first thing you're going to need is your actual business entity, guys, right? Your business entity. And I know it sounds maybe like a big picture or like a big word for some people, especially if it's your first time. The simplest way to think about this is, guys, start with your LLC. Start with your LLC. That stands for your limited liability company or limited liability corporation. And here's the reason why. We get this all the time. Somebody's like, hey, I want to do an S corporation. I'm going to do a C corporation, nonprofit, et cetera. I'm like, that's cool. You do you. But at the end of the day, I like to keep things simple. And here's the reason why. You can transfer into one of those things. You can actually convert your business into that in the future. But who really has time for all that paperwork? And if you're not generating revenue, who cares? The number one priority for your business, guys, is make some freaking money. I can't tell you how many times like people get so confused. Paul and I were at this mastermind in Portugal, actually, and talking to a lot of business owners. And the common thing I noticed, the most common thing I noticed were the lower the revenue, the more questions of like technicalities and processes. When the higher the revenue, it was just kind of like, hey, just give me one thing and a simplify. It's actually very interesting, guys. So I was watching this post the other day, and they mentioned like, hey, you know, the higher the price of something, the more simple you want it to be. But the lower the price, the more complicated you want it to be. And you kind of think to yourself, like, you know what? It goes into that friend, like I just mentioned, the friend that just wants the information, but they're not willing to take action. But if you noticed, the Fortune 500 companies, guys, they keep things simple. They keep things simple. It might sound complex, but it's very simple. So you want to form your LLC. Now, when you're forming your LLC, there's a few things you want to remember. First of all, I always use a third-party filing service. Always use a third-party filing service. Something like InkFiles, Zendesk. I think there's like Rocket Lawyer. There's a few different companies. And the main reason why is because you want to focus on what moves the needle. You want to focus on what you need to be doing in your business, not all that extra stuff. It's the same reason why, guess what? You pay for somebody to do your taxes, more than likely. Even if you don't pay for somebody, you pay for software like TurboTax. And the reason why is because you don't want to fill out that 52-page freaking tax form. That's a waste of your time, line by line by line by line. You'd rather be doing something more productive. Now, once you actually file online, guys, there's a few things you want to remember. Okay, so this comes up a lot. First of all, you want to know the name of your business. I can't tell you how many times this comes up. People are like, you know what? I don't even know what to name my business, get them. And I'm like, just keep it simple. One of the most biggest, I think it's probably the biggest company in the world, their name is Google. What the heck is a Google, guys? They turned a business into a verb. You will be the next big name business. It doesn't matter what the name of your business is. Make some money. So now you actually know the name of your business. You literally just, you know, when you go on your keyboard, you just start typing random letters, or like when Apple tries to give you that suggested password, just like that. So you know the name of your business. Now you want to know who's going to be in your business. Here's the reason why, because you're going to need their actual information when you're forming. But here's the thing about business, guys. I'm going to give you a life lesson. Don't be in a rush to include people. Here's the reason why. Let me tell you guys a story. So young Gedem didn't know any better. he was opening an actual retail store. This is a true story, guys. I had a retail store in San Francisco, California. And you're probably like, San Francisco, it's expensive. Yeah, it was years ago too. So I remember I partnered with somebody, one of my friends. Worst decision in my life. Gave him some money to start the business. Said, hey, you run everything for me. Let's just say I was down $50,000 right off the bat. And $50,000 to me right now is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Think about that. That I conflated into actual overtime. Literally, that money was after the government took their cut. That was after the state government took their cut. That was after the freaking pension. That was after the healthcare. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And the reason why I was mismanaged. So when it comes down to forming your business, guys, you really have to decide who you want to be a part of it. They got to have complementing interests. And what I mean by that is they got to provide something to provide value to your business, because you are in the business of providing value to merchants. So what good does it do if the people you're partnering with aren't going to keep you aligned on that mission? Okay, so you know who's going to be in your business. And I got to get through this very quick, because if you didn't get the PDF, you're going to get it and you can get a recap of this, guys. So now you're going to actually have the people that are partnered in your business. Well, the next thing you're going to need is actually a business address. And here's the reason why I bring this up. It's commonly confusing. A lot of people actually do virtual business addresses. We have an actual physical office in Miami, so it wasn't always like that. When you're forming your business, just use your home address. And here's the reason why. At the end of the day, you want to keep expenses low. If you're doing everything on your own and you're not going to invest into starting the business with people, what you want to do is keep expenses low, because at the end of the day, it's a 1 and 0 game. It's literally a ones and zeros game. And what I mean by that is you're trying to get as profitable as you can, as fast as you can. You have no time to start adding on extra expenses. Okay, so you know the actual address of your business. Next, you're going to need a business checking account. So this is actually overlooked when it comes down to this business. A lot of people are just like, well, I'll just use my personal account. Here's the reason why you don't want to do this. So I didn't know this, and I wish I knew this when I started my first business, because I'd be way farther along. The banks have you in this system called the checks system, guys. And if you hadn't heard it before, you can Google it, the check system. So here's what the check system is. The check system, guys, has more info on you than your social security number. Think about that for a second. It has more information on you than your social security number. And the reason why I know this, guys, who wants to know the reason why I know this? And I don't know if this is even released yet. Here's the reason why, guys. In law enforcement, I used to write a lot of search warrants. We had access to a lot of databases. And I'm talking about, this is years ago. And the information there, guys, was scary. I'm talking about, we could determine who your cousin was based on your cell phone bill. We were able to find you based on somebody you put as a reference on an application. And here's the reason why it circles back to the banks, because if they're loaning you money, they want to know if you're at risk. Because get them over here might be a fake person, and they're like, hey, I got to get your real name and figure out who you actually applied with in the past and all that, because it goes into risk, guys. So here's the reason why I bring up your business checking account. This is never talked about. Now you have history with the bank. Whether you're making $1, $100,000, or $1 million, you have history. With history, you have more flexibility in the future. Because let's be realistic, you're not getting into this business for it to be your end-all be-all. Long term, you probably want to do something else, a passion project. That happens all the time in business. So when you build history with that bank you're working with, they're going to give you a lot more flexibility in the future, guys. Right? Now, you have your actual bank account. Well, the next thing you're going to need, especially for this business, is a device. So I usually have a device with me, but they're usually as small as this. I'm just going to, for illustration purposes, I'm just going to show you a drone. All right. So it's a credit card device. And all that is you're going to pass that fee on to the customer. So let me break down the origins of the merchant service business, guys. And I'm going to give it to you a 30-second breakdown of the business. So what you're going to do is literally take that fee that the merchant is getting charged, which is typically about 3%, and you're going to pass it on to the customer. That's it. How many of you guys have been to that restaurant where all of a sudden there's a 20% service charge? Comment money below. Comment money, because I'm about to break that down for you right now. So, well, that's ridiculous. Charging 20%, I'm not going to lie. I even get annoyed at that. The standard in the industry is for you to charge the customer. Remember, Everything's getting more expensive, guys. Every single thing. The cost of goods, workers' compensation, the employee rates, how much you pay your employees, everything. So how does a business stay in business? Do they what? Increase the price and decrease their customers? Or do they pass on a fee and keep the prices the same? Well, after 2020, guys, they're passing on the fee. And here's the reason why. It's the normal. It's the norm, especially in California. When I was in California, almost like every coffee shop, there's always coffee shops for some reason. They would always pass on the fee to you, but they went way above and beyond, which is about 10 to 15%, which is ridiculous. What you're going to do is you're going to profit off that fee. So we like to call this cashless ATMs. And here's the reason why. You're probably thinking like ATMs, what are you talking about? Get them. You know how an ATM works? You place it at a location, you get charged a fee, about, we'll say $3. You make that profit or somebody makes that profit. You're doing the exact same thing with your credit card terminal. That's it. The only difference is there's no cash that goes inside of it. So now when the person swipes their card to that business, you're typically making up to 2%. So I'll give you guys some simple math. If a business does $100,000 a month and they're doing 2%, like that's your profit, how much you're going to make? I want to see the number below, guys. I got to see the math assistant here. If a business is doing $100,000 in profit and you are keeping 2% of that, how much is that a month? That is, come on, guys. I see some numbers. I see some calculators. People switched off the live real quick to go to their mobile their calculator app. $2,000. Alex Camacho, what's up, man? $2,000 a month. So think about that for a second. Do you think a business that's doing $100,000 a month is going to stay there? Do you think that business owner wants to stay at $100,000 a month? No, they're trying to increase profits. And guess what happens? As they build bigger, you make more residual. So now you start realizing why we like this business. Okay, so that's the basics of the business, guys. How many of you guys would like me to go into the merchants that no one talks about in this business? How many of you guys are ready for the next lesson? I want you to comment lesson below, guys, if you're excited, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm literally like, hey, guys, you should probably go here and make some money. That's all I'm saying. There's literally nothing in it for me. Comment lesson below while I get this ready, guys. I have a list. That's how many locations there are, guys. So let's get this ready. I'm going to get my nitro cold brew, guys. I'm at 500 milligrams for the day, all right? All right, guys. So the highly profitable locations that no one talks about.